Good evening, everybody, and welcome to FOJC Radio Sunday Night Live. So thankful as always to be with you. Glad you're in with us here on a Sunday night. Got that Minotaur coming at you tonight. It's going to be another very intense episode here on Sunday Night Live, looking through the Stargate. Minotaur in the Stargate. So thanks for all of you that are joining us tonight. And I'm so thankful to have Brother Brian Reese here with me on our Sunday Night Live here on the Stargate series. And Brother Brian has some announcements here, and we're going to take care of that before we get into the broadcast. Brother Brian, what do you got for everybody?
Welcome everybody back to the broadcast here on Sunday Night Live. I'm coming in hot tonight, David, on this Minotaur in the Stargate. We are back here once again, and we got a few little announcements. I wouldn't call them little, but we do have something really special coming up here in August the 13th and 14th we want you guys to know about. And it is Invading the Darkness. It's a conference that we're going to be having in Shelbyville, Kentucky. It's a free event. If you haven't signed up, it'd be the opportunity to do it right now, and you'll be glad you did. It's a free event. A lot of places nowadays in 2026, you don't get an opportunity to have a free event. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And FOJC is hosting Invading the Darkness here at Shelbyville, Kentucky Conference Center. Is 219 7th Street, Shelbyville, Kentucky, 40065. That's going to be the 13th and 14th. And we're going to have quite a few guests. Quite a few guests are going to be coming. And guest speakers. It's going to be me and David Carrico and Adam Smith, Joe Caruso, Approaching Eternity. It's Joshua Watts' band. We got Sherry, Miss Campbell, Dan Bedondi, Callie Morgan, and then we got Felix Acosta. Hopefully I didn't butcher his last name. But yeah, welcome everybody to the channel. I hope you guys get to join us. I think we're going to have over a little bit over 200 folks plus at that event that we can hold to the maximum at that facility there in Shelbyville. It's not too far from Louisville, not too far from Lexington. It's in between. It's right off the interstate. And come join me and David for that this summer, the 13th and 14th. And you'll be glad you did, because I'm looking forward to that myself, Brother David. I'm looking forward to that. And one other quick thing, too, I want to throw in here, folks, is I want to say that I want to tell you all my appreciation. I have been going through some health things. It's been up and down. Let's just say, don't want to get too down the dumps here on Sunday Night Live, but it's been nothing but a trying time with my teeth, my eyes, and everything else that's going on with me. Infirmities are screaming here in 2026, and I guess the powers that be don't want me to speak. But tonight I'm a little fully charged. I'm trying my best to gonna get this thing done tonight, and I'm looking forward to it, David. My mouth is ready to go, and like Miss Donna says in the chat, wait for Brian's rant. That's what we did our last Passover event there in Tell City. We had a really cool Passover event not too long ago, so David wants to do more, and I'm with him, his sidekick here, facilitating and actually being there at these conferences. So I hope you guys can come out and join us. I really would like to see you guys in person instead of screen names. And I think, David, if I'm not mistaken, before we move on and get into the program, I think you told me we had 96 already that had signed up for this event. Is that correct?
That is correct. Now, I think 94 have registered. We got 17 baptisms, and we're not to the month of June yet. So if you want to be there, sign up, and don't sign up and register if you're not going to come. And if you can't come, let us know. If you have to cancel, that's fine. Just let us know so that we can, uh, we don't want to not let anyone come that wants to come. And I've said too, if somebody is like me and you're technologically restricted, and if you just want to write a letter to me, write to me, and I'll make sure that you get on the registration. We will be baptizing on Thursday night, and that's always exciting. The baptisms, you can see how we roll on baptism on our video section, our baptisms from the Passover conference. So it's going to be an exciting event, a free event, a lot of fun, a lot of information, praise and worship. And we're going to have a choir. This is the first time FOJC choir. Brother Mike Talas will be leading our choir. Sherry Campbell is overseeing. She is our master of ceremonies and in control of pretty much about everything music and stuff and the flow of the conference. Sherry is amazing, does a great job. and Micah's going to be there. We're going to praise God, and it's just going to be good. A lot of cutting edge information. It's just going to be a great time. So come out and be with us. Also, I think it's uh, on the flyer there. There's a special rate you can get, a really good rate at a really nice hotel there at the Shelbyville Comfort Inn. So there you go. Come out and be with us August 13th and 14th. It's time to gather together the remnant. And right now, it's time for Sunday Night Live. Brother Brian, let's kick it in gear.
One more thing here, everybody, and David. I failed to mention the special events page to register on FOJC is in the description box. So forgive me that I failed you guys. That is in the description box. So yeah, let's ride this thing out tonight, brother David. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go down to the rabbit trail of the Minotaur and the Stargate. Let's fire this thing up on all cylinders here. So, folks, this is our sixth installment here for the Stargate series. Me and David have had a heck of a time doing it. We've enjoyed it. We've almost died several times, fallen off porches, and all kinds of different things. I tell you what, Brother David, this has been one of those challenging times here at the ministry, but me and Brother David keep getting our heads knocked around, our teeth falling out, and we're doing extremely decent and one-legging it one day at a time. But anyways, speaking of one-legged at a time, this Minotaur and the Stargate, we have General O'Neill here on the screen. And what's so interesting about this when we're getting into the title of this whole presentation here tonight, I want you all to know something. This is episode, I think, 5, if I'm not mistaken, or give or take 6 when it comes to the 1 and 2 of the Children of the Gods at the plot of this TV series. Well, what's intriguing to me at this scene here, General O'Neill has to go to this particular planet, okay? So he's going to go to a place that is very interesting. They don't know anything about it. They just know they're, let's just say they're a robot that they send through that they have to literally scan the area for any kind of enemies or any kind of adversarial type of concept or creatures, etc. But what was so strange about it, the lights, the cameras got busted out by somebody or something. Well, General O'Neill is kind of hesitant, okay? But what I want to point out, I'm going to zoom in here for you guys. He's been to the Stargate many, many times. Many times, okay? Even according to the count with the Raw and all that and the Apophis, even with the 1994 movie when the introduction of the Kurt Russell was the character for that TV or that movie, but the TV series here we have this gentleman. And what I think is interesting, David, he takes his hand and he's almost hesitant. And I tried my best to look at all the different angles and even run it through some special software to even get the frames and try to see what he was actually trying to articulate. But he takes his finger and he swirls it around. You can't tell if he's making out a S, can't make whatever type of alphabet or some kind of word or some kind of symbol. It's really strange. And he makes this symbol and it's almost like he's just very hesitant. Well, I looked it up. You have this blue event horizon. You have this plasma. You have this water that's standing upright. Well, he puts his hand in and he goes and teleports to this P3X797. But he tells his Marine buddies, he tells his buddies to stay behind because he don't know what's ahead. So Daniel Jackson, the whole crew with SG-1, Tilk, and Mrs. Samantha goes through and they go through the gate. Well, I want to point something out here. A lot of people don't probably know this, but they had a 10-second window. So what happened, the weapon there that he has, I'm going to say that, he sticks it in the Stargate. These are the Marines that are supposed to be his backup. Well, he counts down to 10, okay? 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Well, for them to keep the gate open, they have to put something physical. So they use the gun there to lock in so they can just jump in so there won't be no hesitancy or catastrophic event where you basically get your limbs or something extracted, or okay, vibratory rate of existence. Probably that happens in this TV series. But I thought it was interesting when they go through, David, and these Marines come, and before they come, even in 10 seconds, they're already getting beat up by this primitive primate creature, this, let's just say what we would call it, Nephilim or a hybrid type of entity or something on the other side of the portal. All of them are getting beat up. They're trying to figure
A
out what the heck is going on.
Bigfoot type of a little fella.
It looks like a humped over type of goblin-like creature. Yeah, exactly. It makes me think of something off of a bad 1950s or 60s, The Munsters or something, the makeup artist on this. We're going to
Yeah.
get into it.
Yeah.
It does look like a little bit mini Bigfoot, doesn't it? And speaking of mini Bigfoot, we're going to show that they actually shoot one of these or these individuals. Okay, so you can see on his brow that's protruding out, his hair follicles are growing everywhere. He looks like a almost looks like a wolf, or looks like something off of a wolf like entity, almost a hairy beast, like a Bigfoot, like David alluded to. Well, as you can see, there's these hair where they're wearing the eyebrows and everything. They're long extensions and everything, and he's just they're raging creatures. They're barbaric creatures. Okay, they're savages. Okay, well they have a certain name, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. Um, this episode is called the Baraka Divide. So go look that up if y'all want to watch this in the near future. We don't recommend. Well, we do if you want to, if you're a sci-fi flick, but we don't recommend it as it being some type of thing that you want to take it as a gospel of some shape or form of some alien narrative. It's just a TV series, but it does have a lot in here. So the Braca Divide, they go on, and when they see these creatures, these entities, before they get into this crazy guns ablazing and rock throwing with the little ape-like creatures, they have this woman that looks like she's dressed up in fine linen and have all these different dresses. It's a beautiful dress, right? It sticks out because she's not like these other creatures, okay? Well, I didn't put that in there for the part of the segment of this presentation, but they're doing very, let's just say, nefarious things. These barbaric primate looking entities, whatever you want to call them, humanoids, they're trying to do something with her in a nefarious act. I'll say that because I don't want to. I still, in 2026, I'll watch what I say here because I know we have a lot of youngsters on this, probably watching this program. So something evil intentions, okay? And Samantha Carter, she makes a claim and a comment to it, and she's like, let's do something, let's do something. You know, it starts with the R word. That's what they're trying to do to this young lady. Well, like we've talked about through this through the whole Stargate series, I thought about the Genesis 6 narrative once again because these things are barbarically trying to take a woman, but she's not like them. Where did she come from? Who is she? Is she just randomly pop in the field and in the middle of the darkness, and they start to try to mate with her? It's disgusting, right? The way it's being portrayed. So all of a sudden, they see these people throwing these slingshots in these rocks, and they're dressed up looking like some type of hazmat suit, okay? And these beings, or these humans that live on P3X797, they're throwing slingshots of rocks, and I thought that was really interesting. You know, like David and Goliath, you're throwing the rocks around. And it's just interesting to me that that's inside this TV show, okay? You got the slingshot, you got the rocks, and they're trying to take these beings out. Well, here they are. They see Tilk and the whole SG-1 crew. The crew is sitting there with these tactical weaponry. We got a plethora of grenades, and God only knows what they have on them. And they literally finally say, "We're the god. These are the gods." Well, my God, they're like claiming these. General O'Neill, all these guys are saying, "I'm not a god. Get up from there," because they're bowing before them. Okay. And here they are dressed in white robes. How interesting is that? And General O'Neill's like, "You don't have to bow before us. We're not gods." And the lady turns to the leader and says, "They're trying to, we just need to put a show on. They want us to test us. They're testing us because these people are not mortal. These are immortals. These are godlike powers. They have weaponry. It's far beyond our advancement." Right? So it's pretty comical because they're sitting there saying, "What's going on here? Where are we at?" And the gentleman said, "I will take you to the place of the light." And we'll get into that here in a second. David, do you have anything to say? Because they're talking about the light and darkness, and these two individuals are dressed in white robes and talking about this light, and it's almost like light bearing, bringing forth knowledge or giving something over, and it's all these biblical references just in these few frames and these few minutes of this TV show, this episode. What do you think, David? How are we too deep in the weeds here? Are we too far in the darkness? Because this is insane to me, David. It's totally insane.
Yeah, and there's definitely some weeds there. And and I'm to get ahead of you, but when they point to the Minoan civilization, we've got the Minoan culture, we've got lost civilizations, we've got hybrid humans, we have this enlightenment there, and all of the elements are there for the story of Atlantis, which is kind of setting the stage for this, and it's just very, very compelling.
Absolutely. Well, you didn't get too far ahead of me. That's what it's all about, bro, David. That's what it's all about. I've done it to me. I've done that to you so many times on a broadcast, my friend. so, so we have this P3X797. We got these people dressed in these white robes. This white, some type of, let's just say, hazmat suit, so they won't get the sickness. Well, speaking of the sickness, they call these beings the touched. Okay. Well, these folks are called the untouched, and these are civilized people on the light side. The individuals that are the savages, the primitive humans exiled to the dark side, they're called the touched. Okay, really strange. Well, speaking of the bizarreness of this TV show, they take the SG1 individuals and say, we're going to take you somewhere to this light, this land of light. Well, as the screen hovers over and they capture the footage, there's this shadow. There's literally a divide, the Baraka divide. There's literally a divide of darkness and light. You have the yin and the yang. You have this concept of light and darkness, right? And these primitive savages only stay in the darkness. They can only see in the darkness. They won't go to the light. And it kind of reminds you of some of the Nephilim tribes that went underneath the earth. It almost makes you think of the cave dwellers. Just saying, just throwing it out there. So you have these touched appears to be aggressive. They're like Neanderthal type of like figures, increased body hair, loss of speech, violent instincts, you name it. Okay. So these so-called untouched are taking the individuals away from these from the Stargate, and they're like, we haven't had any gods come from the gate in generations, right? Well, as it goes to this frame and it goes over and they see the architect work of this ancient city, this gigantic city that these untouched live at. That's what they inhabit. So it reminds me of a lot of architecture. And I know Brother David just mentioned character crew here. We're going to get into it here in a few moments. But when you look at the Minoan culture, these architect buildings, we're going to show a few in a few moments, but to tie it in with the Minotaur, it gets very interesting this next frame. So check this out. So after they show this frame, you have the land of light. No joke. And you have this bull horns right dab in the middle of the entrance when you're walking up the stairway. Okay, so you have the three white robe individuals, and then you have the SG1 going up the staircases to get at some kind of knowledge or some type of enlightenment, right? With the the individual bullhead, it looks like a minotaur right there in the middle of the entranceway. Well, when they go through the door, right? I want to stop and give David's opinion on this, but when they go up to the door, Daniel Jackson says something, but we're not going to say it just yet. I want to stop here. There's these two bullheads, right? There's this lady that's inside between them, okay? And I asked myself, Brother David, I looked at it and I thought to myself, I said, there's no way, and I haven't even looked at the dimensions, but they call this a certain type of, there's something they call this, and we're going to talk about it later, where she's setting it right now. She is isolated. This is the same lady that was getting abducted pretty much by these dwellers, these touched, and they're trying to, let's just say, isolate from her because they think there's hope. They're wanting hope because this is the leader's daughter. So, David, I want your opinion. When you look at the 2 and 2, so you got 4 horns. When I see this frame here, and I know we're going to be talking about another movie here in a few moments, this reminds me of the Ark of the Covenant. I can't help it. I can't see any different. And the way it's articulating, and there's something in the middle. And, I don't even want to go down this rabbit trail, but the two, when you think about it, could there be, and obviously I can't go on the stage and measure this, I wonder how many feet between the noses of the two bulls there is. I thought it kind of looks like 6 feet to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Just a little bit of hint. But David, what do you think about it? It looks like the angel wings, but it's the horns. What do you think about that, David? Am I going too far on this? Because that's crazy to me, right?
Well, I don't think so. And we talked in a previous Stargate episode about the Sphinx being a cherubim, or perhaps a satanic interpretation of a cherubim, aka a fallen cherubim. And here we see this calf and bull motif. It is like the satanic counterpart to the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant. And the symbolism here with the horns touching, it is just too much in your face. And this ties in with the light also. The worship of Lucifer through the planet Venus was in the symbol of a calf also. And as they would trace the ancient star charts of the movement of Venus, it would be like a helmet with two horns on it. And this is why the Vikings rolled the way they did. And in Genesis 14, there's the scripture it talks about the Ashtoreth of the two horns. And when the Israelites made the golden calf, they weren't just playing, let's pick an animal to worship, but this come from Egypt, the goddess Hathor, that was pictured in the same way. And this carried down into Israel. They had the two golden calves in the days of Jeroboam when he set up the two golden calves, the worship of Mithra. This symbolism is huge, and it's a part of the Luciferian worship. And in this series, it's talking about something that come from the remotest antiquity. That there hasn't been anything of these folks here for a long time. We're looking at a form of worship that originated in remote antiquity, in the antediluvian world, literally in what we could call, the world would call Atlantis.
Mm. Well, it's interesting, David, when you think about the alien narrative and the Egyptian narrative, talking about Hathor and she bringing forth new knowledge. You hear about this a lot. You hear about this a lot.
Yeah,
Really strange times. Well, what's this whole screen here, this whole screenshot? I zoomed in a little bit more, and this is the part where Daniel Jackson says in this scene, he said, "Looks Minoan." he straight up says it
yeah,
on the TV
yeah,
show, and this is what we're trying to articulate and bring forth to the audience and everybody out there in all walks of life. There's little hints of either paganism, ancient gods of antiquity, or straight up blatantly talking about the demigods or the demons. I mean, they'll straight up bring it forth in this TV series. It's crazy to
yeah,
me. So
yeah,
in that wild, he goes that, and it gets real silent because they're focusing. It kind of focals the focus point of that female sitting there. So once again, Genesis 6 is sitting here coming off the page. Very strange to me. Very strange. So what happens, they start talking and they're kind of getting, they have dinner, sit there at the table and talk to the leader, right? Here's the leader. I done forgot his name, but this is the leader of the tribe, okay? And he's sitting there talking about the touch becoming possessed. I think it's called Kulash. I think that's how you pronounce it, Kulash. And Tilk and them are sitting there, and Daniel Jackson's even him, David. He's very in linguistics. He knows translations, all kinds of different languages, and he's ever saying, I've heard that, but I don't really know much of Minoan language. I know a little bit about it, but I'm trying to figure out. And Tilk looks over at him and says, that means like a underworld type of deity, like an entity of some demonic possession or something to that level. So this man is saying about the girl that's sitting there in this isolation section, and hopefully she can overcome this being touched by the untouched, by these demon entities. They're not alluding to who these individuals are. They're not even talking at this point. Well, it's interesting that they come to find out that these beings, these barbaric beings, are literally their family. They're from that
mm,
earth. They're from that planet, right? They have their own fathers and daughters, whatever is over there. And they was giving their daughter over because he said they're dead. They even said the term dead, David. They even say they're dead to me. They're dead.
yeah.
They're no longer living because this kulash, this parasitical, here in a second we're going to show that, something happens and takes over their bodies. So they go there, and they find out the girl is like okay, what have you, and she's been isolated for a while, and she's maybe overcoming it. Okay, and they're like, and General O'Neill's saying, well, we better just get out of here. Let's pack it up. We don't really know what's going on here. They look like really good civilized folks. They haven't had the ghoul. They haven't had the Raw or anybody coming through the Stargate destroying because they advanced. He makes the point. They advanced. Even Daniel Jackson talks about they advanced to a higher degree. And even right here, Daniel says that we should stay and study the planet because these individuals have evolved in the Minoan culture. And he makes a bull reference to tie into Earth, like you just alluded to, David. He ties that in. He talks about, well, this is the same thing through antiquity about the bull, just like you referred to. So it's so interesting. There's like little elements of biblical and ancient antediluvian realm once again. So he's sitting there begging all of them, and Samantha is saying, kind of shaking her head because she disagrees. Well, lo and behold, do they know after they got attacked by these barbarians, this is what happens. Something turned them into a primitive human, okay, some kind of primate, some type of disoriented, crazy individual that's going around throwing bodies everywhere, just acting like complete insanity. Okay, they're just completely going off the rails, these individuals are. And they don't know what's going on. Their eyebrows are growing, everything's growing. They're becoming literally like a zombie, okay, with super strength and superhuman ability, okay? So not only do we have this going on, they're trying to figure out what is really happening. Why is this happening? And they close down Cheyenne Mountain. They have to close it because they want to quarantine for something. And this something is this right here, a parasitical virus. They even say it on the TV show, a parasitical virus. And what's so interesting about it is Daniel Jackson and the nurse is wondering why they're not getting sick. There's something happening. And the general says, let's just go ahead and close down Cheyenne Mountain. We can't let this go to let's just say, a level of a plague. Okay, this cannot get out of this facility. And David, it makes me wonder so very much. You have to look in today's society. Just hear me out. I want to watch what I say. When there's underground facilities and places where they're doing, let's just say, hybridization programs, let's just say genetic DNA something that is involved, and it literally got their tentacles in these things. And I wonder if these things that are come upon the earth are literally from under the earth in these, let's just say, places kind of like this show is portraying. What would you say about that, David? I'll give the floor back to you. I went a little long-winded. What do you think about that?
Well, for these viruses to become pandemic level deadly, they do what we've heard so much of, the gain of function research. That means they have to be altered so that they can be more readily transmittable. And it is no secret. And one of the places that so much of this were so many labs that were in Ukraine. And, this is a fact that we're all too well aware of. And this is something that the globalists know, that this is a huge tool in their toolkit that they can use. And this is something that the remnant of God, we are very much watching and praying about this. And we're not naive and ignorant to these things. And these things are, it is really amazing the way that this Stargate series connects the dots and ties all this in together. And it just gets back to what this whistleblower said with me. It smells like a documentary, and that could be very ominous. That we need to pay attention.
Documentary, I agree with 100%. So we not only do we have this new plague, according to the plot point here, I want to throw something in here. Tilk is not infected either. Okay, Tilk is not infected. We talked about this on the Children of the Gods episode. Tilk gets, let's just say, recruited and leaves the Jaffa and works with the Stargate SG-1 folks. Well, Tilk has a Gould in his belly because he has that pouch. It's got an X. Well, he has superhuman strength, and he has endurance and longevity, lives forever, type of thing, up to 100 plus years, I think, or more. Well, Tilk has a Gould protecting him from the virus. So he is no symptom. He's not symptomatic or anything. So what's really interesting, the nurse starts saying the organism has not gotten into our bloodstream. What is going on? And she's just like, she's baffled. She can't figure it out. There's other people getting infected. It's a crazy madhouse, according to the TV plot there. Well, can't get the bloodstream figured out. They have to have a specimen. They have to have a specimen, okay? And what happens, Tilt goes back and Daniel Jackson, and when they go back, they go together, and Daniel's worried. Well, once again, lo and behold, they go through the Stargate, and here we are in this darkness. We're in this dark place where the touched wants to reside. They're already residing because they are gravitating around the Stargate. Daniel Jackson makes a comment, David, about leprosy. Leopard. He makes a comment because he's worried about the female sitting there. She's been in distress because he lost his wife to a Gould. Remember that when she got taken over? Well, he's worried and focalizing on her, and he's like, these people are barbaric. Why is these civilized people throwing their daughter back in? Because she's showing signs of having this being touched syndrome, okay? This parasitical virus. Well, this kuwash, okay? Well, Daniel makes a comment to Tilk, and little do they know that these barbarians is going to come behind them. And this leopard comment, they call it leopard colony. I'm not kidding you. That's what he makes the comment. And I know you have a lot to say about that, but this is before Daniel Jackson gets abducted by these individuals. They actually take him away from Tilk. Tilk has the big machine gun. He's throwing it up in the air, and they literally surround both of them, and they take Daniel Jackson, but leave Tilk alone. It's kind of strange. But David, what do you think about the leopard colony comment? And there you go again, biblical stance, and looking at the whole tie-in of the pulling and here we go. We got the Genesis narrative again. We got these barbaric entities taking people. What's going on here, Dave? This is so crazy. What do you think about this?
Well, and in the story, the people that were immune, they were the most valuable people, those that were immune. So, yeah, the dots are all there. They're telling us a story here. They're telling us a story that is weaved around ancient civilizations and ancient technology, and telling how these things come full circle back to us. And I think there's a real reality to it. I believe that there is.
Well, after this Tilk goes on this, he goes straight to the land of light, okay? Because he can't find Daniel Jackson. He's freaking out. His mission is to get blood. The nurse in Chevron Mountain, they want him. I said Chevron, Cheyenne Mountain. They want him to get a blood sample from these beings, from these so-called humans that are inhabiting this planet, because they have something in them that is keeping them immune, like you said. Well, Tilk is asking for their blood. Here we go. We got this blood reference. Okay, the leader says our blood is our life force. You can't have it. Whoa, okay. Come on, right? So Tilk is asking he's asking patiently, and they're like, no, why would you come back here? Why would you bring the sick here? Why would you do this? They have the Kuwash has gotten them. The demons have possessed them. And he's like, it's not a demon, it's a virus, and they're not wanting to hear anything he has to say. Remove yourself from us. Well, he makes it back. And what's interesting about it, he tells the nurse, and the doctor finds out. And what they found out is they found a cure, right, with this blood sample. They really re-engineered it, whatever they done it. And her and Daniel Jackson take these antihistamines for allergies, and that's why they're not getting sick. We know why Tilk's not getting sick, but it keeps them from getting contact with the disease. So they really emphasize the antihistamines, David. And I had this epiphany when I watched this, like for the 7th time. I said to myself, why are they so focused and fixated on the barbaric cave-like dweller men? It's like almost like we have Darwinism and evolution and everything interconnected. We have human beings on another planet, so-called, we say, and it's to do with the ancients that migrated and moved people from Earth, and then we have these different cultures coming together, and they just pick up where they come from, and the gods give them knowledge, give them tech, like the fallen angel narrative. And then you have this disease type of concept and allergies, and I thought about the Denisovians. I thought about all the caveman men that I've researched. And David, what if that we maybe have some things wrong? Maybe some of the things that there's been genetically altering that maybe there was people like us and they got genetically altered, because guess what? The powers that be are admitting that they have hybridization programs, and like we both alluded to at the beginning, like midway through here in the last 20 minutes, they're literally doing something to the genetics. So this did it's only even we have the Denisovians, we have these ancient cave people, we have these Nephilim. David, could it just be a mod podge of, like, let's just say, fallen angel entities or demons, whatever you want to call them, Greys, Darkonians? Are they manipulating, doing something to the human race? And could this? I looked it up. There's no tie to this. This is just all just for the show. But antihistamines. What if it was other viruses in the past that made genetically alterations and people? Because if you look at the Denisovians, they claim that they find these fair maiden women that don't look like them, and they look like barbaric, primitive, primate men. Okay, and they have to mate with fair maiden, fair, beautiful women. It's the same Genesis 6 narrative once again. It's almost like there's something out there that alters. Whoever they are collaborating, doing something evil to the human genome, and maybe alternating us on some type of, like, so big level. Dave, what if I'm onto something here? What if it's not what? Because we go back to the biblical narrative, look at the great eight in Moses, in Noah's time, and there was genetically altering. We know that the corruption of Noah's days, we know this, but there was pure-blooded people back then, and they wasn't hybrids. And we talk about the Raphaim, the Nephilim, the dead, bury the dead. We talk about the Raphaim. But David, could I be onto something here? Could there be something to this, that the cave dwellers, the people that get exiled, that go underneath the ground, could there be living beings to this day underneath the ground, and like what we claim in Argotha? Could we be onto something here, David? Could we be onto something?
Yeah, I definitely think that, as we've said many times, that much of the line of Cain, when it was banished from the face of the earth, that means the surface, that there have been many of them underground for thousands and thousands of years. And mankind did not evolve. God created Adam in the image of God, and all of his descendants looked pretty much the same, and they have ever since Adam came together with Eve to bring forth Cain and Abel and Seth. And the thing about it, we know what the fallen angels have done. We know the workings of the evil one. And I believe that a lot of these so-called cavemen, that they are just that. They're genetic experiments that were done by the fallen angels. And, just like in the Stargate series, give me your blood. We want the DNA. We've talked about that. I want your blood. Well, why? Well, that blood and DNA thing, they can literally, uh, every individual has a certain vibration, and they can literally uh, target you electronically and genetically when they have your DNA. It's not a good thing to give your DNA out. It really isn't. And this is all portrayed there. And I think, well, here we go. We have some people, and when you mess with, when you do gain of research on viruses and on human beings, the things that come out from that can be very ugly. And here we have in the storyline where we have these people, haven't seen them on Earth for a long time, but here they come. And if you touch them, you're going to be in bad shape. There's just all of these things here are weaving together into a scenario and a story that seem all too familiar.
Well, speaking of that and being isolated, okay, and no contact, right? Well, after all this happens, they find an antidote, okay, with the blood that they require or retracted from the humans that are living on this other planet. Well, they have tranquilizer guns that are got this serum, okay, so they're going around popping all the individuals, and it looks like paintball guns, okay. That's why, I'm trying to watch what I say here, but they're all around campfire, and then Daniel Jackson, his allergy medicine is already, it started to wore off a little bit. He starts to get a little primitive. He's been gone too long because they took him over in the woods, and he's already picked up, I think, a girlfriend on there, and just run around with bones and acting foolish because he's all out of his mind. Okay. Well, they find him, they extract him. Well, they take him back to the land of light, and they say, "We healed your people," and they're in disbelief. They're like, "No, you can't. The Kulash, it's over. All of our people are dead." And they're like, "No, look at our friend." And he's still got the eyebrow and everything, and the serum's working on him. And they're like, "Set him in this isolation chamber. Put him in the isolation circle," end quote. And guess where the isolation circle was? It's right where we was talking about earlier when you're looking at the two bulls, and he's in between there. And they're in their so-called religious concept or construct. They think that these bulls are going to, let's just say, put a force field around the infected. Okay, so it's really interesting. And then when Daniel Jackson starts to really start healing up and getting over all of his issues, and he's on this so-called isolation circle, David, I think it's interesting. They see it working, and they're like, "He's healed. I can't believe it." And then they start thanking him. "What did you do? You are the gods." Blah blah blah. And they go back to the light, where there's light and darkness, and they go back and gather, and these people are coming out of the woods because they can see now, because they're getting healed from their sickness, so they can come back and they can take in the light. So they're walking up, they're like, "Dad, Mom, whoever it is," and all these elders are coming and like, "I can't believe it, you healed us, we fixed us." And what I'm getting at, this light and darkness concept, okay, in this whole isolation circle, these two minotaur like calves that are sitting here, and this culture, this whole concept, this religious, I guess, the like I was alluding to earlier with the wings, the Ark of the Covenant concept, this energy level. And I wonder if those horns are made out of copper, whatever type of elements they are made out of. I know they don't allude to what that is on the TV series, but you have to wonder what's really going on here. I know it's props. I know it's for the TV series, but I wonder if something like this was really, truly a thing, David. I wonder if this is a replica of what they actually seen whenever they find these ancient artifacts or ancient ways here of the Minoan culture. What do you think about that, David? Do you think there's something maybe possibly looking like this? Maybe that there's something to ancient antiquity that was been unburied, unearthed? What do you think, David?
Yeah, and everything here down to fine detail is based on the reality of what they've found, and it's very, very extremely well researched. And it almost looks like, well, there they are. They have the horns of the bulls touching. It's like they're putting him in that area where there's an energy field uh, to create the effect there for him.
Yeah, and it's the god. They're gods,
Yeah,
Kulash, or all these demons that can protect them in this force field, this 6 foot concept. Take it for what it is. It's really interesting. This is all eerily
yeah,
tied into our reality. Just so eerily, it's like a reality stumper here, reality check.
yeah.
And when I think about the whole thing, what they happened, what was the enlightenment, this light and darkness, Teal'c and everybody came over it, and they was able to go back to Cheyenne Mountain and heal everybody, the general, everybody, and then off to the next Stargate episode you go. But I just want to focus the parasitical, a parasite. Teal'c has a Gould, which through the whole movie and the TV series, talking about it being parasitical, like a ancient god. The worms, we talked about this on one of the other Stargate episodes, controlling the anatomy, controlling the body, a host. And if you think about it, there's this parasitical virus controlling these hosts and turn them into looking, like I said, Denisovians. It makes me think of like a caveman that's barbaric, like Captain Caveman, the cartoon, that kind of thing, right? Like you're becoming a barbarian. And this is where I was thinking about evolution. And I think this is maybe where the Darwinism, all these things about all these dark occult things, esoteric knowledge, maybe there's just something so simplified, David, that we have beings that are altering the face of the earth, even the creatures, the bugs, everything from the whole thing in the genome. because of the humanity side of it, because we can go tie this back to the Book of Enoch at Mount Hermon. So it's all there, David. It's all there, and I think the Atlantis concept is really where we want to plug this into right now. And there you go with the isolation with Daniel Jackson and pretty much the samurai of that TV show. And David, how can we tie this back to ancient Atlantis? You spoke of that a while ago. Is there anything that we can hook and really pull this back in to the Minoan culture? Is there something here that we can go for here?
We certainly can. We got a big hook on that. And someone had a very good question in the chat about should we have blood work done? And this is something I just had some blood work done at my family doctor, which is, small town doctor who is, and the medical system, I get it. But if you have to have one, I had one for my yearly Social Security physical. And if it's there, and it's protected by your HIPAA laws there, I did it. And we got to be very careful though. And here's the thing: the United States military has warned its soldiers not to give blood to these ancestry places that trace your genealogies through DNA. For this very reason, it is now very possible, if they have a soldier's DNA, to target them electronically or genetically through that. That's the world we live in. Also, there was a foreign government came over during the crisis that in setting up supposed medical facilities to help us, collected the DNA of thousands and
Mm,
thousands of Americans. There was a fellow told me not long ago that when he went to get life insurance, they wanted a blood test. Have you ever heard of having to give a blood test for life insurance? This is where we're at. So, everyone needs to pray about this and make their own decision.
wow.
But I just recently had blood work done, and it can help you. Well, you're low on this, just this, just that can be very helpful for your general health. But we're getting at a time where these things are going farther and farther south all the time. We got to watch and pray because there's a real serious danger and more funny businesses coming in all the time
Mm.
into that medical. And now you said something you want to say on that, Brian?
Well, I wasn't even going to mention this, but you hit it. And David, they just brought this out like a week ago. Um, this is on, you could find this on X, the New York Post, the Daily Mail, all these news anchors. Everybody was talking about it. It was on X. They was claiming some of these, let's just say, ancestry where you could go and send off your DNA and get your ancestral blood, your historical family tree. And David, they're claiming that they're looking for alien bloodlines. I am not making this up. It is the most bizarro,
Yeah,
crazy realm we live in. They're calling
yeah,
it the Nordic race. They're looking for the Nordic bloodline, the descendants of the Nordics.
yeah,
Look, this is out there. This is something out there
yeah,
right now. You can go look this up. They're talking about looking through 23andMe and all these different places that they was looking for alien bloodline. Take it for what you will. I
yeah.
thought it was Bizarro World. I was like,
Yeah,
well, it's over. I mean, they're looking around, and here we go with this Nephilim kind of concept again. We have this, it's coming out, and people are just silent. I don't understand it. That's what blows my mind. People don't even understand what's really going on, and it's so overwhelming. Rightfully so. If you've not looked into this stuff and you've just seen it this year, if you're just waking up this year, oh my God! I mean, it's so overwhelming. It's probably too much to handle. Absolutely. But
yeah,
they had literally said that there was out west of us, David, that there was Nordic genealogy, Nordic history, family bloodline living amongst us. That's what they're claiming, David, with this new
yeah,
DNA bloodlines. David, I mean, come on. I mean, let's just get into the Atlantis thing, man, because this is
yeah.
the whole
And I
Nordics.
had
Oh, man, give you a
Friday
headache.
night on our mail call, I read a letter from a listener, very compelling story about seeing a tall white in northern Wisconsin. And these things are happening. We're getting reports, and if you have something like that, write me. Write Donna and I here. I'll give you our address here. Uh, you can write us at Followers of Jesus Christ, Post Office Box 671, Tell City, Indiana 47586. Write me a letter. I love to hear this, and it was fascinating. We're hearing more and more of this all the time. Crypto creatures, uh, tall whites, and it's going to get more and more. And they're going to be showing up in their little flying ship and coming out just like the day the Earth stood still. It's all there, and so get ready for it. And we don't need the government to tell us to warn the people because we've been talking about this for a long time. All right, let's head for Atlantis. What do you say? And I've got a book here. It's called Atlantis, The Find of a Lifetime by Christos A. DeJonis. And I've got a gaggle of books on Atlantis in our library here at FOJC. I'll have to count them, see how many got a lot of them, a lot of good ones. And in this book by Mr. DeJonis, he believes that Atlantis was in the area of the Cyclade Islands, there in the Mediterranean, there near where the Mediterranean is, there with the Aegean Sea. And it is called, and these Cyclade Islands, and he makes a very strong case that he shows that at one time these were above ground. And I wouldn't argue with him. And there's so many books that are written. I think Atlantis is over here. I think it's over there. And the truth is, in the antediluvian world, there were civilizations in the Pacific, which is now called Lemuria, large places off Japan there. They've found down off the coast of Florida, down in the Bermuda Triangle. There was a huge civilization all over the earth. I believe it was connected with transportation, communication, technology. I believe it was in many ways more advanced than what we have right now. And much of this is underwater all over this good old flat earth. That's right. I said flat earth. That's right. And this is just the way it is. So I would not argue with Mr. DeJonis. There's some very, very strong connections with Atlantis and the Minoan culture, and also with the Nephilim bloodline, which we're going to be talking about. And in these Cyclade Islands, the main island is the island of Delos. And on the island of Delos, this was the legendary home of Apollo. That's right, Apollo. And we know Revelation 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And we've done a lot of teachings about the etymology of the word destroyer, Apollyon, and perdition. And this is very much tied in with the final revelation of the beast. So there's just a lot of very interesting things that are going on there. Now, there's a photo here that we have of a device that was found in that area in the Mediterranean Sea, and it's called the Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism. And this is just absolutely amazing. And when you talk about ancient high technology, this Antikythera device is one of the most amazing. And I'll read a little bit from Mr. DeJonis' book on page 1011 of his book. And it says here, what about the Antikythera mechanism, an extremely complex device designed to calculate astronomical positions at any given moment in time? It was found at the bottom of the Aegean Sea near the Greek island of Antikythera, labeled by scientists as the first mechanical computer in history. This incredible feat of engineering required that its maker had advanced knowledge of astronomy as well as a diverse knowledge in mechanics and machine making. After 75 years deciphering the mechanism, researchers concluded that the ancient device was used as a type of timepiece based on a geocentric view of the universe. Full stop. That's right. Now, this amazing device, which was called the first ancient computer, it could show you the position of any heavenly luminary at any given point in time, predict eclipses and all kinds of solar events. And it was based on a geocentric pattern of the universe. Now, as you know, here at FOJC, we've made a point, and at our gathering in Shelbyville, Kentucky, Joe Caruso will be giving a presentation on biblical cosmology, and it's very, very important. Now, here we got this amazing device, this ancient computer, which, according to what the history books tell us, they should have never been able to make this thing. But when they decided how to be able to predict where any heavenly luminary would be at any given point in time. They didn't do it on the heliocentric, which means those people believe that the sun is the center of the solar system and that our Earth is a spinning ball globe. But on the geocentric, which I would believe, that means the Earth is the center of the solar system and the Earth is stationary. Now, here's the deal. And later on in this book, you just wonder how can people that are so smart be so dumb? And Mr. DeJonis, who accurately says here that they did this amazing ancient computer on the calculations of a geocentric instead of the heliocentric model. But he says now we know it's heliocentric. Well, duh, if that had done it on the heliocentric concept, it would not have worked. So my goodness, come on, folks. This is another amazing testimony to me that indeed we live in a heliocentric universe and it's not the spinning ball like our friends at NASA want to tell us.
Hmm. Well, David, this is where I'm at with this, okay? Just today, I think, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, she's like floored. She's telling everybody that there's far more explosive type of public, let's just say files going to be released, and she's more privy and more intuitive in these skiffs or what have you. And she's even made comments of like supernatural Nephilim beings, underwater facilities like Mr. Tim Burchett, interdimensional, supernatural phenomenon, hybridization programs, you name it, right? Fallen angel offspring, the whole nine. Okay. This device, if I'm a fallen entity, okay, and I'm interdimensionally popping to and fro, let's just have fun here. Why is this device, why does it exist? How do they know what you just said about correlating it with the universe and be able to calculate the clock and the Mazaroff and look at the constellations, what have you? Here's what I'm thinking. This is just a what if and just my speculation in my mind here. Where's the rest of the parts? There's just one part. Where's the rest of it at? And I'm looking at what we talked about recently, the Ezekiel's Wheels and the Wheels, the Ophanum, we talked about the movie Contact on my channel. I've talked about many things about these wheels and wheels. We even talked about the 8 points I think at the Shamash, the Mesopotamian, the Aztec sun god, the dialing of all this, the 8-pointed star, all these different things. Tied it back to Stargate. If there's interdimensional beings, folks, and the interdimensional beings drop something off because they're in the water and they accidentally drop it, could this be why this is dated the way it's dated, David? Like you could be supernaturally going through the water in their water ships or Vimanas or what have you, and they accidentally push the toilet bowl, push the sewage line, it spits something out that's ancient tech, because they're claiming, these people, whistleblowers, what have you, are claiming that they're deliberately, these entities or whoever they are deliberately giving us donations. Could this be a donation? I'm just throwing this out here, David. All things are on the table here. What do you think about that? Because that's got me a little crazy, because with Mrs. Lauren Boebert, she's really focusing on the water. So wasn't this found in the water? So what do we got here, David?
Yeah.
I mean, could I be on to anything? Could I be hitting the nails on the head there with the interdimensional hypothesis? I don't know. And could this be something that just fell off the turnip truck, the tater truck? What do you think, David?
Well, we believe that these huge megalithic structures were actually built by the giants. We're going to show you some amazing ones here in just a little bit. And if the giants in ancient time were able to build these amazing structures, is it not possible that they could actually make a flying ship and that they could actually create technology from this? And we know that the book of Enoch tells us that the fallen angels taught technology to man. So certainly I think that, when we talk about these ancient cultures that had really sophisticated technology, I think one way or another, this is where it's coming from. Yeah, I think it's coming from there one way or another. Now, this Antikythera device, it was the focus of the final Indiana Jones movie called The Dial of Destiny. And in this Indiana Jones movie, they were on the hunt for the Antikythera device. And as Brian alluded to, there were different parts of it that they were trying to find to put together. And they believed that it was actually done by Archimedes. Now, buckle up for this one, but they believed, and in the Indiana Jones movie, they were able to use this as an actual time travel device. Now, I don't believe in time travel. I believe that they want us to believe that they can time travel. I think some of these bright lights believe that they can time travel. And I believe they're doing some things that can look a lot like time travel. But in this movie, they go back to actually contact Archimedes, and it's a really it's a good movie, and it's really got a lot of concepts. Like so many of these, when you get into these cutting edge movies, they're singing us a song of what's going to be. But what do you think about this, Brian? About this the Indiana Jones movie and the way they use this Antikythera? It was the centerpiece of the whole movie.
Whew. Well, like I alluded to earlier, excuse me, like I alluded to earlier, there's always this connection with these demigods, these 8-point stars, these compasses, these their circumferences of some type of medallion or something to that level. And when I'm thinking about this, I haven't watched this movie, by the way, anybody. I haven't seen this one yet. But when I'm listening to what you're saying and talking about the dialing and going back in time, once again, could there be something that we're missing? Could they be alluding to that there's some type of interdimensional concept? And it looks like the term time travel. It looks like it is. Maybe so. I don't know. But when I'm thinking about device, you think about them fighting to get it to go to what would you call that? Who did they go to again? Who was the person they went back to see? Archimedes.
Archimedes.
And
Archimedes.
when you're wanting to get knowledge to increase from get from something from the past, you go to the past, you go to the future and dominate. So it's almost like something of a supernatural embodiment here. We look at it something here that is pushing the agenda, pushing the pen and the pineal gland. I almost said the pineal gland, but when I think about this device and it all interconnected with this Indiana Jones film, if you remember the one before this, it had the grays in it. The newest one with the skulls, the crystal skulls, it had the grays and the flying saucers, the Vimana. And you're telling me they have to use this same exact device to put it all together to go back in time? There's just something very eerie about this, David. And I will say this too: this is the very first movie that was used with AI rendition or AI imagery, or Harrison Ford, if I remember correctly. This is the first AI film that used an AI image of the younger Harrison Ford with Indy here. So I just want to throw it out there too. It's kind of interesting they use the time travel and then they have AI concept in there too when it comes to the production quality. So we got something going on here indeed, David. And I even think the thumbnail is interesting too because it looks like a time capsule. It has the cycling of
Yes, it
time.
does. Yeah.
So it's
Kind of
almost
looks
like the
like
windows,
Stargate there, doesn't it?
the different eights, you have the chevrons, right? Chevron 1, Chevron
Yeah.
2, and you have the
Yeah.
cycling, and then whatever you go to, you teleport to this new dimension or new planetary existence, this new plane of existence. Like we talked about on the Three Letter Agency, talking about the the esoteric understanding, this Lakas and Talas, and getting into the tall men going to inhabit Earth, but it's not in their plane. It was that straight up says it, and they're kind of alluding that's interdimensional. So is there something here with Indy? Oh, Andy, I'm gonna have to watch it, brother David. This is one that you got me on. You stumped me on. I didn't know until you
Is
said it's just you got me on it. You got me, but it does tie in with the Ark of
that
the
doesn't
Covenant.
happen very often on movies, but yeah, that is
You got me on this one. I have to watch it.
all
So
right.
time travel thing, the whole time travel mechanism, it just blows my mind that this is all here, David. If I'm looking at the screen properly, let me zoom in. I haven't got a chance to look at it, but maybe I'm wrong here. But here's some type of car, like some type of old thing from another country. One, two. I just all be all speculation and guessing by that point. But I was wanting to see if there was different sections here that I could see with the rays of light. I was thinking the light rays and the different uh, times, and I can't make them out. I can make six out, one, two, three, four, and then this one's just grayed out in six. But I can't make the ones at the top. It's just light rays. So it's almost like Indy is illuminated. He's enlightened. He bring forth the mantle to go forth in time travel with this. He has the intelligence, the intuitiveness to bring forth this device and put the pieces together and crank it up and go back in time. That's the way I'm seeing it, and when I read over the plot of this movie and what you just told me. So that's kind of where I'm at, Dave. It's just really this one got me. This one got me. Is that called the Indiana Jones? Is that the what is
The
it? The
Dial of Destiny,
the
I
Dial of
believe is the
Destiny.
title. Yeah, the Dial of Destiny. Yeah. And you definitely get the Stargate visual here, you know, with the concept that the Stargate here is the um, can take us through different time periods. And we've already talked about the device that was used in the Stargate series to open the Stargate and bring them
Wow,
through to different locations. And
wow.
could this exactly what we got, the Antikythera device that we're seeing the same concept portrayed here in this Indiana Jones. That yeah, that Antikythera that can open up this Stargate to put us through different dimensions at different times. There's just a real consistency. You know, the Word of God is consistent, and predictive programming is pretty doggone consistent too. You can watch these different movies by these elite prognosticators, and you get a real consistent picture. And you can't miss in this movie poster this
Hmm.
Stargate motif that we're seeing there.
Well, and I want to throw this out here too, David. There's six humans on it. There's six people on this. There's six people. I
Yeah,
just thought it was really strange. Crazy, isn't it? If you think about that, because I can only make out like six positions,
yeah,
and it's on the number of the man. You can get all that when it comes to Revelation, but it's really strange to me. Once again, biblical little crumbs scattered across the broad of all these shows. And you threw this one in on me, David. I didn't know you was going to throw this one on me tonight. And I know we did the slides and I did the slides, but this one stumped me. This one really did stump me. I'll have to watch it. Indeed, I'll have to definitely watch it. But Indiana Jones at the top, you have the five at the bottom, and like I said, it's like this domination of dark at the bottom. You see the dark, you see the man there in the darkness, the Indiana Jones logo, and then Indy has the light. You have the light and the dark again. This
yeah,
enlightenment. It's crazy. This is all crazy. But continue on, David.
yeah.
Continue on.
All righty. Now we're going to continue to look at this area here around the Cyclade Islands here, and by the area where the Antikythera device. There certainly is a lot here that points to a very high civilization, thousands of years before Christ. And we have some video, well, some shots here of the island of Sardinia. And in the island of Sardinia, this is another one of the islands here, and it's crazy the megalithic structures that are on this island. Now, there is one here, and just go ahead and show some of them, Brian, and you go ahead and narrate. And we want to get to the well. We've got a well, but just go ahead, and we want to talk about this well that's there. It's amazing, but you just go ahead and set this up for the folks.
Well, as you can see here, I hope I got the right slide, David. I hope we're on the same wavelength here. But in Sardinia, when we talk about the tombs of the giants, okay, this is so interesting to me, and the equinox tie in here with the way the sun is trajectory. It almost makes me think of Chichen Itza, and it's very interesting how the you know about Chichen Itza where the snake goes down at the different equinoxes. And the same principle is here. As you can see here, there was a female taking a picture. You see the light reflecting. I thought this was strange. When they go down the stairs, you can see the way it positions, the way it was captured here. I don't know if it was edited or photoshopped or what have you. But if you look at it, you can see there was two imagery. I thought that was very compelling. But if you can go here, and I know Dave wanted to really highlight this at the top of it, you can see the way the lighting, and it shows basically a shadow or mirroring. It's very interesting, as above, so below's concept. So let me see if I can get another one here too. You can see that shadow, and that shadow really pulls me back to Chichen Itza, David. It's almost like these beings, whoever the Mayans, the Aztecians, all these individuals, they knew exactly what to do. It's almost like the constellations was speaking to them as they was making their structures. I mean, I hate to be weird, and I'm not trying to be new agey, but there has to be something that we have forgotten with sounds and harmonics and frequency. And when you look at this from an aerial view, it almost looks like a keyhole, David. I mean, it looks like a giant
Yeah,
keyhole, and it reminds me
yeah.
of the courtyard. It reminds me of the Vatican. And I hate to be, going too far down in the weeds here, but it just blows my mind with the way it's articulated and the way it's, I said this many times on the channel. There's no way. Me and David are pretty smart. David's a lot smarter than me, and there's no way we could put all this together. It would take us generations. We would die before we wouldn't even be able to do this. And,
I mean, look at this stuff. I mean, this is off the hook. It's a little bitty island. All this stuff on it. It's amazing.
agreed. And then,
Yeah, and you all can look this up and look at these for yourself, and just Google megalithic structures on Sardinia. It's off the hook. It's just amazing. It's saturated. It really looks like a hub of this Nephilim civilization. I think Mr. Jonas has a pretty good argument going for him here.
agreed. And well, I want to point out, when you look at the Nephilim sun god worship, I've said this many times about the Native American culture. They would look and find remnants of the giants, rock shelters, and especially in my neck of the woods, they would find remnants, and they would worship the sun gods after they picked up the Nephilim literature, what have you, whatever they written it on, however they articulated it, whatever they done. And they'd pick it up and start doing the same traditions in some cases. I'm not saying all of them, but in some cases they did that. That's documented. So that's a whole nother ball game in itself. So you're looking at the constellations, you're looking at when you look at how the Mazzaroth is actually created. And I mean, we talked about this when we did our not too long, our last episode, I believe, when we talked about Giza and the pineal gland, something about Orion. There's something correlating with everything, and the human is the user. We talked about this many times on the show. There's something about the interaction with the human that on a micro level, on a molecular scale level, on a spiritual level, on a soul level, on a blood level, it's all there. I don't know how else to articulate it, because there is evidence of people that have capabilities that can either get sick in these locations. I'm not talking about this one, but certain megalithic sites, people start getting dizzy. Some people have like anxiety attacks. Some people can go up there and run and do a marathon around it and not have or even gasp for air. But what I'm getting at, some of these people end up they bring back for something. There's some people claiming that they're able to contact orbs when they go to these locations where the giants used to resonate, where they used to reside. And it's like, okay, so now we have psionics, we have telekinesis, telepathic concepts. What is really going on? And sorry, David, I didn't show the giant tombs here. If you want me to show
Yeah,
those too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, show the Tomb of the Giants. And while Brian's setting that up, I'll just say a bit here about this well. And this well is so amazing. Try making one of these. You go down in this huge megalithic structure, and there's a place there where you stand and you can see your shadow on the wall. Now, there are days during the year at the spring equinox, the equinox being the time when the sun is directly above the equator, March 18th through 21st, and at the autumn equinox, September 21 through the 23rd. These 6 days, will it be 7 days in the year? If you stand there, it will project your shadow upside down. Every day of the year, except for these 7, your shadow will look like a normal shadow. But on these, you literally stand there and you see your shadow upside down. Try making one of them. You know, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Just building the thing is amazing, but to build it with this position to where it shows your shadow upside down on just certain times of the year, it's just amazing, just absolutely mind blowing what we're looking at here. And Brian is going to show you here the Tomb of the Giants. You think that might be a clue, you know, the Tomb of the Giants there on Sardinia.
And this will I want to point this out too. What it reminds me of once again is these tombs of the giants. How did they? It's like the Indian Mound situation. What is going on with that? Like, how did they strategically lay out the constellations, and then they would bury the main chieftain, the main little G god they would claim, or the name, the 10, 12 foot tall giant, and they stick it in the middle of the mound and say hoorah, like whatever, hoorah, let's roll out. I probably shouldn't even use that term. Big shout out to the veterans out there, folks. I want to give a shout out to everybody out there. They go through a lot, and especially the Marines and what have you, and the Native operatives, all these folks out here that put their lives on. So me and David can get on here and rock us out and talk about this. And yeah, just big shout out to you guys. I want to give you all a little plug in because
Amen.
bless you all. But
Amen.
this overseeing of these tombs, once again, we got the shadows in the one location. We got here where the tombs are. It cannot be coincidental that these locations are strategically laid out where these ancient giants used to reside. So I want to throw this out here. They always claim that there's a portal effect in these locations. I've even heard the same principle sometimes that I've heard it kind of similar on some locations I've seen here in my state. It's just really strange how when you look at the art, agriculture and look at the plant life, and then you'll come up and stumble upon something with shadows. I'm not kidding you, folks. I've dig into a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I know I said agriculture. Yeah, I know. Because the reason why I bring this up, a lot of megalithic sites and rock shelters where I've studied, their crop production will belly up because something happens. They'll disrupt something, they'll open something up, and all of a sudden you have a desolate, something's wrong with the ground and it's no longer fertile. Check that off the box. And I think, David, what I'm alluding to, these giants should not be removed. Somebody went through so much effort to bury them. We can call it ritualistic. We can call it religion. We can call it sacrifice. We can call it worshiping these gods or what have you. But I think, David, it's to keep something away that these entities, these beings, speaking of a virus, speaking of the primitive, something
Yeah.
of these bones, something of the anatomy, they just didn't want it out. That's where I'm at, folks. Take it for what it is. I just is where I am when I come to my studies. Something on a nuclear, I said it, I'm not kidding you, making you sick, like the symptoms of a nuclear poison, like being in a nuclear situation. Something, maybe symptoms of that level, almost to that degree. I've read too much
Yeah.
about it. So I hope you can get a good visual here on this. I had a few slides
Yeah.
fail
Very
me.
good.
Few slides have failed me, but David, it looks like there's many things I could talk about with this. It almost looks like it kind of looks, we could say a boomerang. We could say some other weird stuff too. But I mean, when you see an aerial view of it, it's almost like the constellation stance of it again, the molecular structure, almost the cathio frequency, the Tartarian infrastructure. Here, once again, the architect work. It's almost the same principle. And I know we've done many shows before talking about the giants had the capability of speaking on a level of a frequency and pick up things with sound. So it's almost like I don't know if the little tiny giants was building this. I don't know, bro, David. There's all these speculations, people saying that the ancient, I think they're called the New Ragged. Is it the New Ragged people, if I'm not mistaken? I think that's how you pronounce it. Built these structures. Forgive me if I butchered that. There's just so many things here we could dive into. And forgive me, one of the slides failed, David. But what do you have to say about this? Because I think they're keeping something buried from above to a certain degree, and there's something about it that is tied all to do with spiritual. That's the way I feel about it, David.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tombs of the giants here on Sardinia, and they still have rites of passage and initiation rites where young people will lie in these ancient tombs of the giants, which were big enough to hold 12 to 15 footers. And the bodies of the giants are gone. I'm sure there's still some there to find, but in most of the main tombs, they're gone. It's kind of like here in the Ohio Valley, with the Indian mounds. The bones have just disappeared, and maybe there's more of a reason for that. Maybe perhaps the Lord used a plague to wipe some of these creatures out. We don't know, but reminds me of another one of the X-Files movies where they found a something deep under the Arctic that had the plague in it. But anyway, uh, when we think about the Minotaur, but whatever we can conclude from it, we can conclude that in this area of Crete, there's a lot that is there this day, which would give us a lot of reason to believe that was the ancient height of a site of a very advanced civilization that was just like the Bible and the Book of Enoch called, tied in with the giants and fallen angel technology. And let's think about one of the most famous entities that is connected with Crete and the Minoan culture, and that is the Minotaur. And the Minotaur, which is really, I'll read here from Man, Myth, and Magic about the Minotaur. It says in Greek mythology, the monster with the human body and a bull's head, who is the offspring of Queen Pasiphae of Crete by a bull. So here we have bestiality. And, Brian alluded to the things in the Stargate series that these, little Bigfoot type fellers were doing, and it wasn't nice. It says he was kept in the labyrinth at Knossos. And the labyrinth is another really huge thing that we find the origin of here in Crete, the labyrinth. And in previous broadcasts, we have shown you a labyrinth north of the Arctic Circle in Russia. There is a labyrinth there that we showed you on one broadcast. And also, we have the labyrinth in Egypt, which we're going to talk about. And it says every 9 years, 7 young men and 7 maidens were sent from Athens to be his prey. He was killed by the hero Theseus. And there was human sacrifice done to this Minotaur. And they would just basically bring him some people and said, there you go, yum, yum, eat them up. And this is one of the most prominent of the stories of ancient culture. And this Minotaur supposedly brought forth a bestiality between the queen and a bull. So there you go. Now, I'll read a little bit here also from Man, Myth, and Magic about the culture of Crete, which reinforces the idea that in this area of Crete and there's every reason to believe you just got to try to miss it that we have a very ancient Nephilim megalithic culture that is there with tremendous amounts of evidence to it. These islands are not large, and the amount of stuff on Sardinia, and also we're going to talk about Malta just a little bit here in a little bit, is phenomenal. But I'll read just a little bit here from Man, Myth, and Magic to get a flavor of the ancient culture that was here and the religious philosophy in Crete. It says an extraordinary civilization flowered in Crete after 2000 BC. This would be the Minoan, which we're going to trace the bloodline emphasis of in just a moment. And it says already by 6000 BC, a large settlement such as Katal, Huyak, had many shrines devoted to fertility cults. So thousands of years BC, there was already fertility cults that were flourishing here in Crete. It says scenes engraved on gold signet rings and seal stones may represent rites celebrating the cycle of the seasons. The goddess is shown sitting below a tree, dancing in flowery meadows, or occasionally, perhaps, lamenting at a shrine or over ritual jars. And the Cretes were, in their ancient pagan religion, they were just like modern American churchgoers. They worshiped the pagan holidays of the equinoxes and the solstices. And it goes on to say the funerary rites were related to the general conception of rebirth through the goddess. And it's all about initiation realizing your own divinity. It's the same old story, and it all comes back from the fountainhead of the fallen angels. It's fallen angel Nephilim religion, the worship of the goddess. And of course, we have to have the snake. It says the snake was principally an attribute of the goddess in her role as guardian of the household, although it may also have had Shatanic and sexual meanings. The two snake goddesses of Knossos are well known. In the town shrine at Gorunia, nearby a crude goddess figure was twined with a snake, and there were snake tubes among the utensils. Yeah, we like snakes. We got to have us a tube to keep our snakes in, you know. They're all about it. You always get back to the serpent. There's no doubt about it.
Wow, David,
But
can you real quick? I don't want to interrupt,
sure,
but
go
what
right
was the
ahead,
tube?
sir.
What was the tubes again? How did they? What was the whole application of that again?
They were snake tubes, literally tubes to keep snakes in, because
Well,
they use the snakes in their worship, and they would have tubes for their snake tubes. Yeah, we're talking snake tubes. So you got plenty on hand.
well, they did the same thing with the Gould on Stargate.
Yeah,
They have these tanks. They would have tanks and have these. It looked like tunnels where they could go back and forth when they was, I guess, incubators, what have you. No joke. I just want to throw it out there, folks, because this is all intertwining in some type of weird. We got sci-fi, we got realistic stuff, we got man, myth, and magic. My goodness, David, this is crazy, man. I'm floored. I had to throw it in there.
yeah. And we're going to go to Egypt. Buckle up. We're going to Egypt to the labyrinth. And you see, the concept of the labyrinth began in Crete. And like I say, there's even a labyrinth found north of the Arctic Circle in Russia. And let's have a scripture on the Cretians here from the Bible. Remember this one, Titus 1:12 and 13. It says, one of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretians are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. That's Titus 1 and 12 in the Word of God. This witness is true. Wherefore, rebuke them sharply that they may be sound in the faith. And there were Cretians that were converted to Christ by Paul. And, he says, boy, we all cultures have their genetic sins and their genetic iniquities that are specific to certain cultures. And it's a very strong generational iniquity here in these Cretan peoples that goes all the way back in this bloodline. And we're going to show you this bloodline, how it goes from Crete before we're done here. But, there you go. All Cretans are liars. So that just doubles down here on the intensity of this. And of course, if you're born again in a Cretan, you're not a liar anymore. You're a born again believer. And we're certainly not teaching anything of the sort that Cretan people, that there aren't a bunch of great people and are genuinely born again. That is absolutely true. Now, what's amazing here, and just a whole lot of amazing to go around here, but I want to read from a book by Eric von Daniken called The Eyes of the Sphinx. And in this, he has a chapter on the labyrinth and the labyrinth in Egypt. And we've talked about this on, I think, back on Cities Lost to Time, we talked about the labyrinth on some of these episodes. But the labyrinth is one of the most mysterious mysteries in the world to me. It really fascinates me. And Herodotus was called the father of history. And Herodotus wrote an account of seeing the labyrinth. And I'll just read you the account from Herodotus. And this was over 2,500 years ago, where the father of history, Herodotus, wrote about the labyrinth and many other accounts. We could pull up a half a dozen more testimonies of other famous people throughout time that saw the labyrinth in Egypt. Now, let's read Herodotus' account. He said, to bind themselves yet more closely together, it seemed good to them, the kings, to leave a common monument. In pursuance of this resolution, they made the labyrinth which lies a little above Lake Moeris, in the neighborhood of the place called the City of Crocodiles. I visited this place, and this is Herodotus's own account over 2,500 years ago. He said, I visited this place and found it to surpass description. For if all the walls and other great works of the Greeks could be put together in one, they would not equal, either for labor or expense, this labyrinth. And yet the temple of Ephesus is a building worthy of note, and so is the temple of Samos. The pyramids likewise surpass description and are severally equal to a number of the greatest works of the Greeks. But the labyrinth surpasses the pyramids. What a statement. Herodotus had seen the great pyramids, he saw the labyrinth, and he says the labyrinth surpasses the Great Pyramid. He says it has 12 courts, all of them roofed with gates exactly opposite one another, six looking to the north and six to the south, kind of like New Jerusalem. We got 12 gates, don't we? A single wall surrounds the entire building. There are two different sorts of chambers throughout, half underground, half above ground. The latter build upon the former. The whole number of these chambers is 3,000, 1,500 of each kind. Absolutely amazing. And it just goes on and on with this unbelievable description of the labyrinth, part above ground and part below ground. The question we have to say is, where is this thing? And something that huge, the Great Pyramid, if you'd hit it with a whole bunch of bombs, you'd still have the ruins there. And there are no ruins to be found of this labyrinth, which was much more massive than the Great Pyramids or anything ever built by mankind, if mankind did build it. So, my question is, where is it? And what I would propose is that since there are no traces of it to be found above ground, I believe that the labyrinth is buried in the sand in Egypt. And if the labyrinth were to be found, this would be the one of the greatest discoveries in the history of mankind to actually see this thing. Now, for our purposes here this evening, we have to understand that the labyrinth in Egypt was patterned after the one in Crete where the Minotaur was. So, what in the world could it be that there is the most massive structure ever built by mankind that is still buried in the sand? And if so, what in the world's down in that thing?
Hmm.
What does that make your mind think of, Brian?
Well, when we did the great, I think it was the Great Pyramid broadcast we did on Sunday Night Live, when we spoke about the Khafre project, where they're finding all these new silos and these connections with subterranean realm kind of thing going on underneath Giza, and then we even talked about the extra Sphinx, the secondary Sphinx that's covered in this mound of dirt or mound of sand. It's been suppressed, or it's something's been turned off, so to speak. So, David, I'll just set this real quick. If they're spiraling like some type of silo looking, let's just say technological advancement of that time, and if I remember correctly, they kept saying the halls of amity, they kept tying back to there was some type of village or something they kept finding with the lidar technology, something to that level. They could find structures like go down underneath those pyramids. I think it's 2,000 feet. I mean, David. So I mean, and I think there even exceeds that amount even past that. They just can't see that far.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this labyrinth. This could be there. It could be there. It really could be there, David. It really could, and it kind of
Yeah.
makes me wonder. You keep saying you said six like above and six below, right? Six
Yeah,
different
there were
tunnel systems
literally
above and six different
um,
below, correct?
there were like gates there, and let me see if I can pull it right up here. It says there are two different sorts of chambers throughout, half underground, half above the ground. The latter build upon the former. The whole number of these chambers is 3,000, 1,500 of each kind, half underground, half overground. Um,
Hmm.
it's just really phenomenal to think about. And Herodotus was no crackpot. He was the father of history, and we could augment that with, and there in Mr. von Doniken's book, he gives several other citations from history of other very reputable historians and notable figures that saw this labyrinth. It was there, and I think it's still there, and it's buried. And what's in that little booger? And
Wow. Hmm.
there's another book here we'll take a look at. It's called Egypt, the Image of Heaven by William Zittman. And he says here, uh, speaking of the labyrinth, this is on page 137 of his book. He says the structure next to the pyramid of Hawara had functioned as a temple of the dead. Yet its architectural design was so utterly uncommon that it became known as the labyrinth. And since antiquity, it had become associated with the Knossos labyrinth on Crete. And from remotest antiquity, this labyrinth was associated with the labyrinth of the Minotaur. It says this Cretan labyrinth was the prison of the monster or demon Minotaur, the constellation bull. In antiquity, the labyrinth was linked inextricably with the dwelling of a demon. For this reason, only one star exists that qualifies for correlation with the pyramid and the labyrinth of Hawara, namely Algol. This star is called the demon star. What in the world could be in that? What in the world and what out of this world could be in there? And these are some of the things that are going to be coming on the earth. Jesus said that men's hearts would be failing them for the things we're going to see coming on the earth, and people need to get their mind right to be what's going to come. And it's I tell you what, if you don't know Christ, you need to repent and believe the gospel because this is real. I mean, this is real. The Bible isn't a storybook, and it tells us the time's going to come when the restrainer is going to be removed and the abyss will be opened and these entities will come forth. Well, we've already talked about how in Mr. DeJohn's book, he believed that there at the island of Delos was the very heart of what was once Atlantis. And that was the legendary birthplace of Apollo, like 911, Apollyon. So we've got a very consistent picture here of a entities. And the Bible talks about the four angels that are chained by the river Euphrates, those that are in the pit in Revelation 9, and it's going to be opened, and these chimeric creatures are come out, and everyone that isn't sealed in the forehead with the seal of God going to be in a lot of trouble. So it looks like we've really got things where the stage is setting for literally the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, and it just amazes me, Brian. I just get chills when I see these things. And I believe the Lord is bringing a lot of this information to the forefront so that people don't have to be fooled. And this is more than just a tickle my fancy inquisitive broadcast. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to prepare ourselves because Stargate, but what's really amazing is the things we see in Stargate parallel the prophecies in the Word of God. Therefore, it behooves us uh, to be ready spiritually for this time.
I got a recap here, David. So was this the Egypt Image of Heaven book where it spoke of the star? Was that star where it spoke about the demon? Was the star either in the ground or above the ground? I know this is going to sound really crazy. Was it
We're talking
claiming?
about a star in the firmament, in the
Yeah,
heavenly luminary, just like the Great Pyramid is aligned with the three stars in the Orion Belt, as above, so below. The Eagle star is the star of alignment with the Hawara Pyramid, where
that's
it
what.
was said the labyrinth was. We're
Okay.
talking about an actual heavenly luminary star. It's called the Demon Star. Of course it is.
Yeah, yeah. I want to verify. I thought that's what it was, but I was listening and I was like, okay, the labyrinth was underground, and I was thinking about the reason why I brought this up and that we wasn't going to talk about this, but I was thinking about the black sun and think about the whole concept of that, where Hitler was infatuated with that, and he was trying to, he let's just get, well, you don't get too far into it, but what if there's something to that, that there's some type of luminary, some type of whatever it is, star like, whatever it is, entity that can look like a star and then luminaries and from the above. But what if there's one, I've never thought about this, what if there's one under the earth, inside the earth, like the black sun? And that's what
Yeah.
I'm throwing this out here, and I'm thinking, I'm kind of going down some rabbit trails here. Tinfoil hat, 11 folks out there probably going to think I'm a Kentucky hillbilly that ain't got any sense. But I'm thinking about, how does stuff get completely submerged, and these powers that be never, they say about it, they talk folklore, they talk about the magical things about it, they never want to excavate. They say we can't excavate something at 1% of this place, and it takes us 150 years, this company or this organization tells us, and I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So there has to be some type of a time and alignment with the constellations. I'm over here thinking there's a time and
Yeah.
a place, right? There's a time and a place. So if this labyrinth, if there's many of them, what if they interconnect like the ley lines, and they interconnect with the megalithic structures? What if it's just one big interconnective principle between all of it? What if it's all interconnected? And what if these minotaurs, these Nephilim, these hybridization creatures, what if this is like a big old just cesspool of Argotha nonsense, where there's actually entities in the earth, lizard-like men, whatever you want to call them, draconian looking like men that are all hybrids, and they like to prey upon humanity? What if it's what this is, with tied all in with this hybridization program with Mr. Matt Gates is alluding to, and all these whistleblowers? What if it's all some type of weird, really weird cover up of the Vimanas, these ancient crab that come in, swooped in, and take people from war zones, etc., and they use them as, let's just say, God forbid, but as test subjects? I hope I'm not pushing the fence row too far here. But my point is, something shut off. Something has supernaturally shut off, and it can no longer be cranked up, so to speak. The alternator and the battery no longer exist according to the account. And when you look at Giza and you look at I've talked about this sand, there might be 20 trillion gallons of sand there, okay? It's 20 billion trillion things of sand grains, okay? But my point is, how did it get there? And when I remember doing a show with you with silica dust, we was looking at different things with elemental things, and tying it all down into alchemy, or all kinds of different things we was going down. I'm over here in my tinfoil hat mindset and thinking, okay, as above, so below. And I think about what Jesus would say, the powers of heaven. He would reference that the gates of hell will not prevail, and things being supernaturally suppressed. That's another thing. So I have to think about that. You think about the flood of Noah, and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be. We are stuck in those days now. This is Noah 2.0. So here we are. We got these individuals out there trying to get permission to really do digging and get down into the sand and really get to the bare bones of what's underneath the ground. I, David, I've been to cave systems that interconnect where the public don't know about it unless you ask the questions. Like Mammoth Cave going to Marengo Cave up your way. They all
Yeah.
interconnect, but you have to be fully able to do that. You have to be a professional rock climber to be able to
Yeah.
even make the journey. Then you have to have the food, the water, the food and raiment, all that. You can't, you can't do it. It's not even attainable. But what if these labyrinths are all interconnected with something, and there's you got tunnel systems. You keep saying 6 above and 6 below. That's what I keep hearing. It's like a game. I'm thinking like a game, David. I'm thinking more just on my, human hillbilly twang type of hillbilly mindset. I'm thinking there's 6 passages that can lead to freedom, and there's 6 passages that can lead to other labyrinths. You're running, and it's almost like the movie Predator. I'm going to devour you. I'm a ruthless, barbaric creature that's half human. I can sense. I got supernatural powers. I can do whatever I want to do. I'm a bull, but I'm a borderline hybrid. I know your tendencies. I know what you're going to do. Fee fi fo fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman kind of reality. You know what I mean? So I'm really pushing that. I know I'm really going too far here, but that's where I'm at, David. Could there be something, all of it interconnected, and that's why there's 6 passages above and 6 passages below. But it's all obviously covered in sand now because we don't know where the labyrinth is, and there's no way. Listen, David, in Sardinia, in any of these megalithic structures, in Harara and Karnak, they didn't destroy. They're not destroyed on the face of the earth. Okay, so you can just put it down with a 100% authenticity or a verification check here of check mark, check the boxes that whatever's buried under the ground, if it's thousands of sand, 100 gallons of sand, or whatever tons and tons of sand, it is completely preserved. There's no way around it. It has not been blowed up or desecrated. There's no way. So whatever this is labyrinths. There's probably still full intact and probably still fully active. What about that? That's all
Yeah.
theory. But what do you want to bet me? Because
Well,
there's too many things going on. Too many things going on when it comes to subterranean realm and the whole these underground these domes and everything. It's all interconnected. There's something nefarious going on, David. Something way beyond our pay grade of human. It is. It is.
back to Herodotus's words here describing the labyrinth. It has 12 courts, all of them roofed, with gates exactly opposite one another, 6 looking to the north and 6 to the south. What other city has 12 gates? New Jerusalem. Could this be the satanic counterpart of New Jerusalem? The Bible says that New Jerusalem, after the Lord returns, it's going to come down. Well, how about if they're planning to bring this rascal up? I think all possibilities have to be on the table right now, and we
Mm.
can't really elude anything as we head toward this disclosure. We better buckle up, and
Is
we just better be aware of everything.
it? Sorry to interrupt.
Maybe right
Is
ahead, sir.
is there 12 gates? Is there references the Book of Enoch? There's 12 different gates in Enoch. Am I wrong on that?
No, there's a lot of references to the gates and to the 12. Yeah, and it will relate them to celestial heavenly gates and also gates down in the underworld. Yeah, there's gates all through the book of
Wow.
Enoch. Yeah, we could put the teaching of Enoch and the gates over this, and this could
Wow.
be really unlock a whole lot more.
So
And
they're pushing that these people with the UFO disclosure, these congressmen, they're pushing the Book of Enoch. They're telling everybody
yeah,
you'll read the Book of
yeah,
Enoch. So how can you tell somebody and inform somebody when you have no recollection or understanding all your life? And all of a sudden, you start pushing the Book of Enoch and you don't even know what religion is. You might be completely full atheist or agnostic. You have no clarity of it all. You don't even know about Christ or nothing. How is this so like dangerous, David, for spiritual application for the walk with
yeah,
Christ and the
yeah,
literally the heavenly realm with the Trinity, the Godhead? How dangerous is this if you don't know Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit? What's how dangerous this is, right? And is it either gonna catch people off guard, or are you gonna marvel after things, or is it gonna be when men's hearts fail them looking after the things come up on the earth like it was in the days of Noah? That's what I'm gonna think is happening. It's gonna build people up with such anxiety, and when they see a Minotaur walking down the street, throwing a car upside down, or whatever the case is, they're going to say, well, it's military. They'll blame all kinds of applications. They'll be blaming everybody, but it's too late. Okay. And then
yeah,
people
yeah,
will literally be dropping over because they can't take the sure shock of all this pandemonium in the street. I mean, it's building up, and I think the toaster oven's about to implode. I think we're getting
yeah,
ready to. It's heating up to a boiling point, and I pray that people disconnect. I pray that you completely get to a point where we think about there's hope. There's a spiritual thing there where there's hope and you have faith. We can clear your mind and not focalize on these things, these deities, because it will really, literally destroy you if you don't just think about who put you here. Think about who you serve. And these entities, these deities, these demigods, they've been around for a long time. They know who they are, they know who you are. But when you think about what Christ did at the Golgotha, the cross, at the place of the skull, and that sacrifice, man, it all falls into place to me. It really does. It all falls in. So the Minotaurs, the Nephilim, the alien agenda, whatever it may be, let it come. Because the point
yeah,
is, because we're human, I can't be like, well, I want to be like a superhuman like Nimrod. I'm gonna go take a mantle and start uploading myself into a Gilberine. This is where we have to. This is the card that's been laid. Okay.
Yeah.
So choose who you serve is what I'm saying. Choose who you serve. You're going to be going around trying to figure out things that you can't even understand yourself and people are lying to you about it. Like, I'm not saying that what I'm referring to, but people lie. They have a tendency to lie. This world is upside down
The
right now in
Cretians,
2020.
the Bible says the Cretians are all liars, is what the Bible says.
So
Yeah.
I'm
There's
not,
a lot of that Cretan bloodline going on up in here.
I'm not saying these individuals that I'm alluding to are lying. I'm just saying that I have seen people blatantly lie to me, just straight up to my face,
Oh, yeah.
and use me and lie to me.
Oh, yeah.
So, what I'm getting at, how many other people on this walk of life that this happens to? So, you lose faith in humanity, and then they're going to be marveling after something that they do not understand. They don't have the capability to even fathom what it is. So, these angels are going to be around like an entertain. You're going to be entertaining angels unaware, and they're going to be masquerading as humans like the Bible talks about, and we're going to be caught off guard. So that's really what's driving me insane right now with all this. It's a lot of rhetoric. Yes, it's facts. Yes, there's things happening, but why should we give up, David? There's no reason to give up. There's no reason to take the foot off the gas. What I'm referring to is the pedal on your car. It's just a you know metaphor or whatever. But what I'm getting at, we need to really focus on who put us here, and that would be the God of all things, And there I am. There's my preaching for tonight. I didn't mean to go preacher, man, but go ahead, bro. You got so much more to go, man. Let's just fire it
There's
off.
just so much. It's amazing. I got to read this comment by Adam Clark on the text that said, where all Cretians are liars. He said the other Greeks reputed them liars because they said that among them was the sepulchre of Jupiter, who was the highest object of the Greek and Roman worship. By telling this truth, which all others would have to pass for a lie, the Cretians showed that the object of their highest admiration was only a dead man. And we think about, we've talked about the back in the Iraq War, getting the body of Nimrod, and here the ancient traditions is that on the island of Delos, um, this was the birthplace of Apollo. Well, maybe they do got him a pretty dandy Nephilim body. Who knows what's going on here? But we need to hang on and buckle up. And we're going to take you now to another island in the region, the island of Malta. And this is another just amazing site that is loaded with megalithic structures, some of the most fascinating. And there are structures above the ground and below the ground here also in Malta. So, Brian, set up the photos and show the folks some of these megalithic structures here in Malta. Truly amazing.
Can you go ahead and take the lead there for me for real quick, David? I got to take care of something. One moment.
Yes, sir, I certainly will. And one of the things here on the island of Malta is we're going to see the Tomb of the Giants, and we're also going to talk about this cave. We've talked a lot about vibrations and sound, and there's a cave that's a huge cave in Malta, and you can still go into parts of it even to this day. And you can go in there, and you can hear someone talk just above a whisper all over this cave. It's truly phenomenal. And there have been people disappear. And there was a very famous incident early in the 1900s where a school class went down there and the whole class, teacher and all, disappeared, were never found again. Strange things going on in the Malta underground. But in the we referenced the Germans and the Germans in the Black Sun and in Wewelsburg Castle in Wewelsburg, Germany, and I think you can still go in there. The SS, where Himmler did his initiations there in the Wewelsburg Castle, they had the Black Sun drawn on the floor there where they did the rituals, and I think you can still go there and see that. And this wasn't just something they made up, but they derived this. They were big believers in Argatha and Thule and the inner earth, and they drew this from their ancient mythology and beliefs of this black sun. And later, Michael Aquino, he went there and did his Wewelsburg workings, where he was there working to bring these entities into our world. So this is the battle that we're in. and it's a spiritual reality for all of those that'll get in the fight. But go ahead and take us on a little megalithic tour of these structures in Malta, which just goes again. We're looking here at this area, Sardinia and Malta, the Cycladian Islands, Delos. This is all in the same proximity there around the island of Greece. And it's just absolutely amazing the saturation of megalithic structure here. It's just really over the top. But take us on a little megalithic tour of Malta there, Brian.
So before we do that, I had to do something real quick. My program failed me for a moment, but okay, David, let me get this straight. Did I hear you correctly that you said there was some the teachers of school kids disappear in Malta? Correct?
Yeah,
Is that what I heard? And
yes,
did
sir.
you also say that you could hear whispering and sound like somebody talking to you?
Yeah, you could get,
Okay.
and this is huge, and they won't let you in all of it. There's places like where these kids disappeared, they won't let anyone go in there. That's probably good on their part.
Okay.
But yeah, you can
Wow.
just talk at just at a normal voice and can be heard for large areas of this thing. The acoustics are phenomenal. They're supernatural, the way the acoustics are in this. And
Wow.
I've heard the people say the same similar thing about in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. It's a similar phenomenon you can experience.
So I'm just flashing photos of it right now, but okay. So there's disappearances with teacher and kids. That's documented. There was sound, some type of whispering or some type of sound. I know that people right now, the powers that be, are researching static. I kid you not. They've been doing it for a long time, but it's come back into the realm where they're listening to static and radio frequencies, ham radios, etc., any type of frequency that you can name. And the one that gets me, I don't believe half the story, but sinkholes. Okay, David?
Oh, yeah.
Sinkholes have been really coming to fruition here in Kentucky. A lot of people don't know what this is. They don't know what the phenomenon is. They think they always blame the water. It's just pushing the soil away, and all of a sudden you have a very perfectly circled sinkhole. I think it was on the Y Files recently, or about a year ago or so, or some other platform that gentleman was on. And he told a story about an individual with the sinkhole opened up. And I couldn't believe it. They something about string, and they had 16 miles worth of string. I was like, who has 16 miles worth of rope? Who has 16 miles worth of fishing string? I don't know. My point was all this local, I can't remember where it was at, but there was a sinkhole, and this individual would throw stuff in it. He would never hit the bottom, ever. Well, the story was, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know all of it, I can't recall it all, but he felt weird when he was around the sinkhole and would hear voices. And what I remember of this story, that these was old voices, like like people from another time, like claiming to be from a whole nother time. The sound, and he would communicate and start feeling funny. Well, little did he know that he kept throwing stuff in it, and even the local neighborhood would just throw junk, water heaters, just all kinds of appliances, anything that would crap out on them. They just throw everything underneath there, and it's usually it's a big sewer. Well, he started digging around. It's infinite. It never had a bottom. Well, he threw some string and tried to keep David. He was trying to see how far it would go, and he went to 16 miles. 16 miles. I couldn't believe it. That's what they say. I don't believe that much, but he never hit the bottom, and it was infinite. Well, here comes what happens from that point on. Word got out, and all of a sudden, black ops roll up, and they start threatening him. Let's not say black ops. Let's just say a secret facility or secret folks come in Men in Black and show up. Let's just use that term, and they lock it down and they seal it off. They're trying to seal it off, and they's like kind of threatening him. If you want to come on your property, we'll start doing something nefarious to you in a way that you'll get into a lot of trouble. So when I'm thinking about Malta, I'm thinking about the harmonic stance, the whispering of voices, people disappearing. David, if the sinkholes are talking, What Malta doing? You know what I mean? What's Malta doing?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a whole nother secret space program situation. Because I remember interviewing a lady with Dan, and she knew somebody that was, I think, in 2008 that served in the Navy. And I remember her saying that there was a person that this individual communicated with, and it went back to the days of Pearl Harbor, and they picked up a radio frequency in 2008 that correlated back in the days of Pearl Harbor, and it was literally documented that this was the individual they were speaking to on a radio frequency. So whatever that is, David, that's not even time travel. That's some type of other paradoxical, spiritual guided situation. And then I also think, David, when I look at let's just get into it. When I look at the Malta here, you look at all the rock formations, right? You're either wanting to bury something, or is it something? Is it something from the powers above? I keep thinking about when you have rock shelters. Are they burying something like here in Malta? Is there something here that ties back to the giants? Or is there something of an ancient burial site? Is there something the giants would go around, pick up these big boulders? You know, a 6 foot or a 5'11" or whoever, a 5'5" individual human cannot do this with a crane, without a crane. And when you look at the, subterranean stance of it, you get into here, David, the stuff that is, I mean, they're not perfect. These imagery that's on here right now, it's not perfect. Anybody could probably do this, but it would take a lot of time. And when you're taking tours down there, the magic school bus and the kids and the teacher goes pop and disappearing. My question, David, is there interdimensional portals that you don't want to be playing around with? Is this what the jaw dropping situation is that Lauren, Bobert, all these individuals, is this what the jaw dropping information is going to be? You got water, you got subterranean situation going on, whatever it is it directly tied? And is that why, you hear these guys saying that if the American people knew what was really going on, they would come unglued? So when I see megalithic structures like this in subterranean places, either somebody is paying homage to a location, because you can see how the architect work is and the way it's just, and one thing I want to point out too, do you see it, Brother David, on here on the screen? At the very bottom of this doorway here, do you see the two holes at the left of the door? Do you see that, Brother David? There's two little holes at the on the floor there.
Yes, sir.
I will tell you this. I don't know if you noticed or not. I have studied this in the past, and especially
Yeah.
some places here in my local woods here. They would use blood. Now, hear me out. They would use blood of animals and then other diabolical things with, let's just say, humans. And those little circle situations, the claims was that they would gather up enough blood to open up a gate. Well, just throwing us out here, I remember hearing something about the Skinwalker Ranch guys that they're actually working and trying to figure out quantifying of bovine blood and how it changes things. Because the cattle, they look at the cattle mutilations, all these different things. Those guys are all over it over there. The guys, I know one of the guys, and they're all over it. They're digging into something that's so way beyond human perception. My God. So blood, doorway. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm thinking
Yes,
blood.
sir.
And if this megalithic structure, and that's why they're not letting people go down there, what if something like the Rainbow Bridge that I've talked about in the Grand Canyon, what if there's people, what if the kids or that woman that went missing, what if one of them had, let's just say a bloodline. Let's just go ahead and say it. And it wasn't the right day to go take a field trip. Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah,
And here
yeah.
we go. Captain Planet, he's a hero. And then the magic school bus pops up. You see what I'm saying? So there's something,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
so it resonates with me with those little cups, those embrasions, those little cup holder, whatever you want to call it. It looks like they're um, either carved out or what have you. My point is I've seen this many times in megalithic structures, and they'd always take blood, and they say they could open stargates up, but they filled it
Yeah.
up to a certain level. So maybe I'm wrong. Do you know anything about that? But Malta itself, when I'm looking at this, David, this is something marvelous. There's nothing. Me and you cannot do this. Even if we started at 10 years old and
Yeah.
lived out our days, we could not do this. We could not do it. So this is fascinating to me, David. So what do you think about the blood and this whole thing with Malta? Could it be just these? Could this all be coincidental, or could it be literally something here that I'm really just kind of got the corner piece of the puzzle here, Dave. What do you think?
Well, all you have to do is look, and I would really invite our listeners to, just do a search on the megalithic structures of Sardinia and of Malta, and search the subterranean giants of Malta. And I mean, you can just tell by looking at these structures and the ones we saw in Sardinia, they look just like what we have in South America that we've seen in these South American structures, the stones, and just like we've seen in Israel there at Gilgal Rephaim. And I remember specifically on one of our cities lost in time, where and it was dealing with the jaguar gods, and there was literally two bowls there that when you go in there, you had to sacrifice and put the blood in the bowls to open up the entry into the gate. So
There's two
that does
bows,
make a
David.
lot of
There's
sense.
two bows
Uh,
there. There's two bows
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Huh.
And the consistencies in the structure, you can just tell by looking. Just look at these structures on Sardinia and Malta, and you couldn't tell them apart from these ones in
Hmm.
South America.
Hmm.
And that's why they call them megalithic, because they're the commonality of them all over the world. So, absolutely. And we see these common threads of spirituality and worship
Hmm.
that, the blood, the blood, the blood. We got the blood, the snakes, and the human sacrifice, and it's a persistent story that's being
Hmm.
told, and it's preserved for us here in this architecture, and it's right there in our face.
Do
And
you
there's no, the biblical explanation we're giving you for it makes sense. There's no other explanation that does.
absolutely, David? I have a question. What was the year that those people went missing? Do you
As I
remember the date?
remember correctly, it was in the early 1900s, as I recall.
Oh man. Hmm. So Tesla was alive. Yeah.
I'd have
Just
to go back and
just
check
wanted to
on the
throw it
date
out
of
there.
that. And
Yeah. Was it after World War One or World War Two? Do you remember?
it
Would it
was back in the early part. I
early?
would say it was
Okay.
around that time. But here
Hmm.
again, I'd have to, before I speak to it any
Sure.
more
Sure.
specific, I wouldn't want to go beyond my recognition there. But
So
yeah, it's and there's been a lot of in other caves around the world, people disappearing, and a lot of that's gone on. A lot of people disappearing.
so I remember watching a movie. I know this has nothing to do with this, but I think it was called. There was some type of time. It was on Netflix a while back, a couple years. It was a these kids went to go party and play and just have all this, do whatever. They was drinking, acting all crazy, and they got caught in this cave. Well, when they went down there, time would speed up, and they threw ropes down, and it would start the dwindling. It would start aging. I cannot remember. It was called Time something. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was all built in the caves. But what was so interesting, David, time went, you can see the sun, the moon cycling, right? It kind of made me think of Malta here. And they could say
Yeah,
they finally figured out, and they said, man, times are going by super quick. Well, toward the end of the movie, there was this big spaceship shows up. It's this big triangle, and a giant shows up, David. A giant man shows up with this magical ladder and tries to extract him, and they end up killing him or accidentally killing the man. Or some of the cavemen. There's like cavemen, there's cowboys down there, there's old cars. Everybody fell down
yeah.
underneath there, and there was some type of time dilation. So I wonder if that's what's going on really in like in our world. What if there's something so beyond our understanding, and the people, the powers of higher up, the cosmic clearance people, they know exactly what's going on, David. I don't want to go too long winded, but just to give you all a little bit of summarizing here and come to the conclusion of the broadcast. But David, Malta is a very interesting place, and it's fascinating to me. I mean, I don't know if I want to go. After the school bus, the people could disappear in the 1900s. I mean, here we are in the 2000s, Day. We're not too far into the 2000s, really, if you think about
Yeah.
it.
And
And I
there's
don't want
places there
to.
you still can't get into.
I don't want to be
And that's
disappearing,
probably
David.
a real good thing. Probably
Yeah.
a real good thing. And I know something we can understand that, and I've got a real kind of a topper here on a bloodline thing here to wrap us up with. But I know one thing for sure. If you hit that like button, it's going to help us out. So let's do a little Carrico Crush here. And on the count of three, hit that like button and help us with our algorithms. We are in a battle here, and we appreciate your help so very much. So on the count of three, Carrico Crush, hit that like button. One, two, three, boom. And if you have not subscribed to our Underground Church channel or to Brian's Visual Disturbance channel, please do so. It will help us do what we do. And thank you very much. And I want to kind of wrap the broadcast up tonight with something pretty amazing to me. This is back to Mr. DeJohn's book on Atlantis. And on page 87, he said, according to history, these Minoan refugees, or sea people if you prefer, eventually settled along the Middle East shores. Excavation in Ascalon in Israel, a known Philistine city, proved that the writing inscribed on several clay pots was Crypto-Minoan. While most likely many of these pieces were imported from Cyprus or Crete by early settlers, a particular jar of local clay proved to be the work of native post-Minoan culture there. However, there is more evidence to verify that the so-called sea people or Philistines were of Minoan ancestry. The Philistines are the Minoans. Isn't that amazing? That gives us, and that makes so much sense when we see the influx of the giants there among the Philistine people. It says the ancient city of Gaza, yet another famous Philistine city, was initially called Minoah, Minoah, a name clearly founded by Christians. Could you imagine the original name of Gaza City was Minoah, founded by the Christians? So this just gives us a big perspective on the bloodline and how these things have gone through time. And our time is over 2 hours on this broadcast tonight. So we're going to wind it down here. And we're going to thank all of you that were part of this broadcast tonight. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. And just a big thank you to Brian for all that you do. I just thoroughly enjoy this Stargate Decode. I think it's just been a real blessing to us, and we know it's a blessing to some of you also. Final thoughts there, Brother Reese.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Bro David. It allowed me to co-host and be part of this series, and it's honors all mine, my friend. Words almost get a little choked up sometimes, but thank you so much, David. And I will say this real quick, and last thoughts here, last comments. Christ, Jesus, walking with Him, walking in truth, understanding what you're doing, because these things are coming upon the earth. They're rooting them all in. They're voting for it. I mean, they're resonating in our human cortex of our brain waves. Okay, they're consciously wanting our consciousness to be, I don't know, pushed to a level that we've not seen in our reality as far as the 21st century. So keep your eyes on the Lord. Don't give up your soul for just a little bit of a porridge or just a little bit of nothingness, vanity, and keep your eyes on the prize, especially when you want to face eternity, because Minotaur, giant, Nephilim, spaceship, Nephilim, whatever it is, Vimana, whatever type of craft, whatever type of entity, like I alluded to earlier, fear not, fear not. Put the full armor of God on. Ephesians 6. Let them do what they gotta do, because they've been doing it to your family tree since the beginning of all this nonsense. The adversary has been doing this and destroying our family trees for a long time, generations and generations and generations. And it's probably a good time right now to cut the ties off of these, let's just say, familiar spirits and these curses that have been literally subjected to your family bloodline. Yeah, that's right, curses. and try to overcome them. And the only way to overcome that is to plead the blood. And speaking of, one more thing, I want to make an announcement real quick too, Brother David. I want to throw out this Invade the Darkness. Don't not forget this. It'll be 13th to 14th. It's a free event, folks. You can't find a free event here in 2026. I can tell you right now. So if you want to come and hang out with me and Brother David, you want to meet us in the flesh, check it out in Invade the Darkness here. It's going to be at Shelbyville, Kentucky, and the August 13th, 14th, and you will not be, you will not regret it. You will not be dissatisfied because we got a pretty good lineup of folks too. These special speakers that's going to be with us too. Me and Brother David know them pretty well, and we love them a lot, and we can't wait to be at this conference. So join us for that if you get an opportunity, and you might even be able to get us to go out to a restaurant together, get a cup of coffee and calm down, eat some whatever, the Crackle Barrel down the street off the exit. I don't know. Who knows?
I think
David?
we're going to skip the Cracker Barrel, but we got some stuff we're going to be talking about that's in the work. We might do a little better than
yeah, we might do a little better. A little coffee, at least coffee, David. At least coffee.
Oh
yeah,
well, we got to have coffee. If I'm there, they don't have coffee, don't call me.
Well, speaking of coffee, I'm just going to let you guys know I've got 3 more days. 3 more days. I have not had coffee for 30 days, almost 30 days. And and I've been doing a fasting. It's been crazy. So it's all been, so I can't wait to get back to full swing. This teeth issue and all this stuff that's been going on with me, I'm trying to supercharge my immune system and do a little reboot. When you go to fasting and go to no coffee and just smoothies all day and a plate of vegetables every day, oh my gosh, it is such a huge thing to do. So I'm enduring to the end, folks. So thanks for the prayers. But yeah, come and join us for Invading the Darkness conference here in Shelbyville, Kentucky. You'd be glad you did. And like if you're flying in, I just want to throw this out here too. The link is in the description. The event is where you can register. We had like 90 something people already registered. We're going to probably hold to over 200 people in the event. There's a Louisville Airport in Kentucky and Lexington Airport, and the Shelbyville Center Conference Center is right dab in the middle off the interstate. It's about 40 minutes away from Louisville and 30-something minutes away from Lexington, so you have your pick of where you want to be flying in. I would probably suggest Louisville. If you're going to fly in, Louisville is probably a little bit cheaper rate, just throwing it out there. Yeah, come join us with that. Me and Brother David will be glad to see you. We're going to be doing some pretty good presentations. David's already got his lined up. I've almost got mine lined up. We're going to be talking about giants and UFO disclosure because it's a hot topic, and we really want people to bring it. We want to bring it a biblical stance on it and really bring it to light where we stand here at FOJC. And I hope it's a blessing to you guys. So come join us for that. And Brother David, end us out of here. It's longer than I expected, but yeah, Stargate episode here of Minotaur in the Stargate here, episode 6 in the books, man. And I can't wait to be back for the next one, Brother David. So end us out of here, my friend.
All righty. Well, as always, with much thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and to all of you that support us in what we do. A great big thank you and a God bless you. And with that, until next Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, a big high five and good night, everybody, from FOJC Radio, Sunday Night Live. Woohoo! We'll see you next Sunday night at 7.